Hello there. Go ahead and get comfortable, and just let your body begin to unwind. Let's think for a minute about the idea of happiness, the version we're all familiar with. It's a highlight reel of good moments, isn't it? It's the feeling of comfort, of pleasure, of getting what you want. We spend our lives chasing it. That next vacation, that new phone, that feeling of everything finally being perfect and easy. And honestly, it's a lot of work. It can be pretty exhausting, this constant chase. And then there were the Spartans. Everything we know about them sounds like the exact opposite of that idea. They were famous for their discipline, for their toughness. They slept on hard beds. They ate simple, famously terrible food. They trained constantly. They lived a life stripped of all luxury and all comfort. On the surface, their entire philosophy seems like an instruction manual for being as unhappy as possible. So why on earth would we be talking about them in a video about finding peace? It seems like a terrible idea for a relaxing talk. But what if the Spartans weren't looking for what we call happiness at all? What if they were building something else entirely? Something quieter, more stable, an unbreakable kind of contentment that didn't depend on life being easy or comfortable. What if they stumbled upon a secret to a kind of inner peace that couldn't be taken away, no matter how hard life got? You don't have to become a Spartan tonight, I promise. But just get comfortable, and let's explore this strange and surprisingly peaceful idea together as you get ready for sleep. Let's begin by picturing what a great and powerful city was supposed to look like in the ancient world. When you think of a famous Greek city-state, you probably think of a place like Athens. You imagine great marble temples gleaming on a high hill. You picture streets filled with magnificent statues, theaters carved into the hillsides, and a bustling marketplace overflowing with colorful pottery, imported silks, and exotic spices. A city's greatness was something you could see. It was measured by its art, its architecture, its wealth, the beautiful things it surrounded itself with. And then there was Sparta. If you were a traveler in ancient Greece and you came upon the city of Sparta, your first reaction would probably be a kind of quiet disappointment. There were no great, gleaming temples to catch your eye. The houses were simple, functional buildings made of wood and stone, built for purpose, not for show. They didn't really do public art. The streets were clean and orderly, but there was no sense of luxury. Sparta, by all accounts, would have gotten terrible reviews on ancient travel websites. It was boring, but the most shocking thing of all, for much of its history, was what was missing. Sparta had no great walls. This was almost unthinkable for a major power. In a world of constant warfare, a city's walls were its primary defense. They were a declaration of its strength and its wealth. They were a city's shield. But the Spartans had a different philosophy. When someone would ask them where their walls were, they would just point to their own citizens, standing in a line, holding their shields and their spears. And they would say, "These are Sparta's walls." And this one simple fact tells us almost everything we need to know about their strange and powerful secret. From the very beginning, their entire way of life was built on a radical idea. They believed that true strength, true security, and true contentment were not things you could build on the outside. Walls of stone can be broken down. Wealth can be stolen. Comfort can make you soft. All of these external things, they believed, were a distraction. They were a trap. They were things you could lose, and the fear of losing them would eventually make you weak. So, they chose to build in the other direction. They decided to build their fortress not around their city, but inside their own minds. The first step in their strange philosophy of happiness was a great act of subtraction. It was about removing the things that other people thought were so important. They were not interested in the beauty of gold, but in the strength of iron. They were not interested in the comfort of a soft bed, but in the resilience of a body that could sleep on the hard ground. They were not interested in the noisy, shifting opinions of a marketplace, but in the quiet, unwavering resolve of a disciplined heart. This wasn't because they couldn't have those other things. It was a choice. They believed that a truly happy life, or what they would have called a good life, was a life that was invulnerable to fortune. A life that was so strong on the inside that it didn't need anything soft or beautiful on the outside to protect it. And this is the first, quiet clue to their unbelievable secret. The happiness they were building was not about adding more pleasure. It was about subtracting every single weakness until all that was left was something unbreakable. All right, so if a city is going to build its walls on the inside, if it's going to create citizens who are unshakable, where does that training begin? For the Spartans, the answer was simple. It began at birth. From the very first moments of a child's life, their education began. And this education had one single and unwavering goal. It was not to make the child feel happy or comfortable or safe in the way that we think of it. The goal was to make the child strong. And their definition of strength was not about muscle, but about resilience. The ability to endure reality as it is without complaint. In our world, when a baby cries, our first instinct is to rush in and comfort it, to soothe its every distress. The Spartans believed this was a mistake. They believed that this taught the child that their own internal feelings of discomfort were an emergency that needed to be fixed by someone else. So, they practiced a kind of gentle neglect. They would let their babies cry. They taught them, from their very first days, that darkness is not something to be afraid of, that being alone is not a catastrophe, and that a feeling of discomfort is not a signal that the world is ending. This was the first lesson, and it only deepened from there. When a Spartan boy turned 7, he was taken from his family home. He wouldn't live with his mother and father anymore. He would go to live in a communal barracks with all the other boys his age. This was the beginning of his formal training, a system called the agoge. And for the next 13 years, his life would be a series of lessons in stripping away everything that was non-essential. Think about the lesson of a hard bed. The boys were taught to make their own beds from reeds they would gather from the river without a knife. Their beds were uncomfortable on purpose. The lesson was simple. Your body's comfort is not a necessity for your survival. You can rest on a hard surface just as you can on a soft one. Your mind is what decides if this is a form of suffering. Think about the lesson of a single cloak. The boys were given one cloak to wear for the entire year. It was not enough to keep them truly warm in the cold of winter, and it was too much in the heat of summer. The lesson was that you can endure being a little too cold or a little too hot. You can get used to it. The weather is not your personal enemy. It is just the weather. Your mind is what decides if you are miserable. And think about the lesson of their simple food. They were famously given just enough to survive, but never enough to feel truly full. The food itself was a kind of black broth, a famously unappetizing meal. The lesson here was twofold. First, that hunger is just a physical sensation, not a crisis. And second, if you wanted more, you had to be clever enough to steal it without getting caught. This taught them to be resourceful, and it taught them that survival was their own responsibility. Every single part of their upbringing was a practical lesson in this one core idea: to separate a physical sensation from a mental story. The feeling of being cold is just a sensation. The story of, oh, this is terrible, I'm miserable, is a choice. The feeling of hunger is just a sensation. The story of this is a disaster, I'm suffering, is a choice. They were systematically being trained to endure the harshness of reality without the extra, self-inflicted pain of mental and emotional complaint. It was an education in becoming unbreakable. And this was the first and the last lesson, because for a Spartan, this training never, ever stopped. We've seen how the Spartans trained their bodies to endure hardship, to be comfortable with discomfort. But their training went much, much deeper than that. They understood that a truly unbreakable mind wasn't just one that could ignore a cold night or a simple meal. A truly strong mind was a quiet mind. And they trained for this quietness in a very peculiar and a very public way, through the way they used words. In the rest of the Greek world, especially in a place like Athens, the ability to speak at length was seen as a sign of great intelligence and power. Men like the sophists were paid fortunes to teach the art of the long, beautiful, and persuasive speech. A great leader was a great orator, a man who could hold a crowd captive with a torrent of perfectly chosen words. The Spartans thought this was a ridiculous weakness. They had a deep and almost comical distrust for long speeches. They believed that a person who needed many words to say something probably didn't understand it very well. To them, a flood of words was a sign of a messy, undisciplined, and an uncertain mind. It was a kind of intellectual luxury, a pointless decoration, and they had stripped all other forms of luxury from their lives. Why should words be any different? And so, they practiced and perfected the art of laconic speech. The very word we use today for a person of few words, laconic, comes from the name of their homeland, Laconia. It was their trademark. They believed the goal of speaking was not to impress, but to communicate. And the most effective communication was the most efficient. There's a famous story about this. Philip of Macedon, a great and powerful king, was conquering all of Greece. He sent a threatening message to the leaders of Sparta. The message was long and intimidating, and it ended with the line, "You are advised to submit without further delay, for if I bring my army into your land, I will destroy your farms, slay your people, and raze your city to the ground." The Spartans sent back a reply. It was a single word, "if." That's it. That's the whole message. And in that one word, there is a world of quiet, unbreakable strength. It is a strength that doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to posture. It just is. This was not just a clever habit. It was a core part of their philosophy. They believed that by training themselves to speak with such economy, they were also training their minds to think with that same economy. You cannot speak in this way if your mind is a chaotic mess of half-formed ideas. To find the one, perfect, and necessary word, you must first have a very clear and a very quiet mind. And this is where their ancient practice connects directly to us, right here, as we lie in bed. Because what is a racing mind at night, if not a mind that is committing the strange Spartan crime of using too many words? Our inner monologue is rarely laconic. It is a long and a rambling and a repetitive speech. Our inner expert, the speechwriter in our head, loves to talk. It replays conversations, adding all the things we should have said. It scripts future conversations, practicing all the things we might say. It gives long, eloquent speeches on the subject of our own worries. And it is exhausting. The Spartan philosophy invites us to do something radical. It invites us to fire our inner speechwriter for the night. It suggests that a quiet mind is a strong mind, that we don't need to have a long, elaborate internal debate about our anxieties. The deep, quiet strength we're looking for is found not in the endless chatter of our own thoughts, but in the silent, and the steady, and the unbreakable space that exists just behind them. Let's talk about the place where you are right now. A bed. For us, a bed is the very symbol of comfort, of safety, of rest. We spend a good part of our lives searching for the perfect one. We want a mattress that is not too hard and not too soft. We want pillows that are perfectly fluffy. We want blankets that are warm and soft and comforting. A good bed, in our world, is one of the highest forms of pleasure. A Spartan would have looked at this obsession with deep and a profound and a quiet sense of confusion. For them, the purpose of a bed was not to provide comfort. The purpose of a bed was to provide sleep. And they believed that a person who needed comfort in order to sleep was a person who was dangerously weak. This wasn't just a theory for them. It was a core part of their physical and their mental training. As we heard, when a Spartan boy entered his training at the age of 7, he was taught to make his own bed. And the materials he had to use were the hard reeds that grew along the banks of the river. He was not allowed to use a knife to cut them. He had to break them off with his bare hands. He was also not allowed to put a soft blanket or a cloak on top of these reeds. He was to sleep directly on this hard, scratchy, and uneven surface. Now, we might hear this and think that it's an act of cruelty. But for the Spartans, it was an act of profound philosophical education. It was a practical lesson taught every single night in a very important and a very subtle idea. The idea was this: a soft bed trains you to be dependent on external conditions for your own inner peace. If you can only sleep when you are in a perfect, soft, and comfortable environment, then your ability to rest is fragile. It can be taken away from you at any moment. You are, in a very real sense, a slave to your own need for comfort. If you have to spend a night on a hard floor, or in a strange bed, or on a long journey, you will not be able to find the rest you need, and you will be useless the next day. But a hard bed, in their view, teaches you the opposite. A hard bed trains you to find your rest on the inside. It teaches you that the state of your mind is much more important than the state of your mattress. It forces you to learn how to relax your body and to quiet your mind, even when your external conditions are not perfect. It's a lesson in resilience. The Spartan who could fall asleep soundly on a bed of hard reeds was a person who could probably sleep anywhere. On the deck of a ship, on the hard ground of a battlefield, the night before a great battle. His ability to rest was not dependent on the outside world. He carried his peace with him on the inside. It was a portable and an unbreakable kind of calm. And so, as you lie here tonight, in your own, probably very comfortable bed, we can learn a quiet lesson from this strange Spartan practice. The goal is not to feel guilty about our comfort. The goal is to remember where our true rest comes from. The softness of the pillow is a wonderful thing. The warmth of the blankets is a great pleasure. But the real, deep, and restorative rest that you are looking for tonight will not come from these things. It will come from the inside. It will come from your ability to let go of the day's battles. It will come from your ability to quiet the noisy chatter of your own mind. And it will come from your decision to find that place of inner stillness, that place of unbreakable peace that is available to you no matter where you are and no matter what you are lying on. In the ancient world, just as in our own, a person's worth and power were often measured by what they owned. A great man was a man of great wealth. He had a large and a beautifully decorated house. He had fine clothes, expensive jewelry, and a storehouse full of gold and silver. Wealth was a sign of success, and the pursuit of it was the central, driving force of many people's lives. And then there were the Spartans, who, as you might have guessed, had a completely different and a much, much stranger idea of what it meant to be rich. The founder of their way of life, a legendary lawgiver named Lycurgus, saw the pursuit of wealth as a disease. He believed it was the single greatest source of weakness, of corruption, and of anxiety in a human life. He saw that the desire for more things made men selfish. The fear of losing those things made them cowardly. And the constant, nagging effort of managing and protecting their possessions made them stressed and distracted. And so, he decided to perform a radical and an almost unbelievable act of social surgery. He decided to make it impossible for anyone in Sparta to become personally wealthy. First, he banned all forms of traditional money. He made gold and silver coins illegal. In their place, he introduced a new and a very peculiar kind of currency. He had a huge number of iron rods, which he had heated in a fire and then cooled in vinegar to make them brittle and useless for any other purpose. These heavy, clumsy, and almost worthless iron rods were the new money of Sparta. Imagine trying to go and buy something expensive with this currency. You wouldn't be able to slip a few coins into your pocket. You would need a cart, pulled by a team of oxen, just to carry enough of this heavy iron money to make a significant purchase. And then, where would you store it? You would need an entire room in your simple house just to be a vault for your useless iron. The system was brilliantly designed to make the accumulation of wealth not just difficult, but ridiculous. It made it a pointless and a deeply impractical thing to do. But he didn't stop there. He also decreed that all meals were to be eaten not in private homes, but in public dining halls, with all the men of the city eating the same simple, rationed food together. This made it impossible for anyone to show off their wealth by hosting a lavish, private dinner party. And what was the result of all this? The result was a society that was almost completely free from the anxieties that plagued the rest of the world. The Spartans were not stressed about keeping up with the Joneses, because the Joneses had exactly the same simple things they did. They were not kept awake at night, worrying about the stock market or a bad investment, because there was no stock market to worry about. They were not filled with the envy of seeing their neighbor with a newer, better chariot. They had discovered a strange and a powerful secret. The secret is that the greatest and the most unbreakable kind of wealth is not having a lot of things. It is the state of not wanting a lot of things. It is a kind of inner richness. It is the profound and the quiet and the deeply calming freedom that comes from a mind that is no longer chasing more. A mind that is no longer a slave to its own desires. A mind that has learned to be content with what is simple and what is necessary and what is real. And as you lie here now, in a world that is constantly telling you that you need more to be happy, this quiet, Spartan idea can be a great comfort. It is a gentle reminder that the peace you are looking for will not be found in your next purchase. It will be found in this moment, in the simple and the profound and the unbelievable wealth of just needing nothing more than you have right now. So, we've seen how the Spartans chose to live in a city without physical walls. We've seen how they chose to live without the comforting walls of personal wealth. To any other Greek, this would have seemed like madness. It would have looked like they were leaving themselves completely exposed, vulnerable to the attacks of the world. But the Spartans were not fools. They were just building a different kind of defense. They understood that the most important fortress a person can ever build is not one of wood or stone. It is the invisible and the unbreakable fortress that you can build inside your own mind. And every single aspect of their strange and disciplined lives was a form of training for the construction of this inner shield. Think of it like the work of a blacksmith. A blacksmith who wants to create the strongest shield in the world does not just pour molten metal into a mold and call it a day. The real strength comes from the process of forging. First, the blacksmith must heat the metal in a fire. It must be made to endure the intense, uncomfortable heat. This is like the Spartan training of enduring the cold of winter in a single cloak or the heat of summer. It is the process of learning to sit with discomfort without falling apart. Each time you endure a small, physical hardship without mental complaint, you are heating the metal of your own mind, making it more malleable, more ready to be shaped. Next, the blacksmith takes the hot, softened metal and he begins to hammer it. He strikes it over and over and over again with heavy, rhythmic blows. This is not an act of destruction. It is an act of compression. With every single strike, the internal structure of the metal becomes denser, stronger, more resilient. This is like the constant, daily discipline of the Spartan life. The hard bed, the simple food, the laconic speech. Every single one of these practices was like a small, deliberate hammer blow against the soft, weak parts of the soul. Each time you choose the harder path, each time you resist the easy comfort, each time you hold back an unnecessary word, you are hammering your own mind. You are making it denser. You are forging resilience. You are teaching it, on a very deep and a very practical level, that it can withstand a blow. And finally, after all the heating and all the hammering, the blacksmith takes the finished shield, glowing and strong, and he plunges it into cold water. This final, shocking act is what tempers the steel, locking in its strength, making it hard and unbreakable. This is like the Spartan acceptance of the cold, hard realities of life and of death. It is the final, unflinching look at the truth of the world. The world is a difficult place. Pain is inevitable. Loss is inevitable. And you are not exempt from any of it. To accept this, to look at it without turning away, is to temper your own soul. It is to give it a final and an unshakable kind of strength. And what are you left with after all this forging? you are left with an invisible shield. It is a shield that you carry with you everywhere you go. When the world throws a misfortune at you, a harsh word, a failed plan, a moment of pain, it does not strike your soft, vulnerable, and unprotected self. It strikes the shield, and the shield holds. It does not mean you feel nothing. It just means you are not shattered by it. You are not broken. You can feel the impact, and you can remain standing. This is the happiness that the Spartans were chasing. It was not the soft, easy feeling of a life without problems. It was the deep and the quiet and the profoundly satisfying feeling of knowing that you have forged a mind that is strong enough to withstand the problems that will inevitably come. Now, let's talk about one of the most difficult and one of the most universal parts of being a human being: the experience of pain. This could be physical pain, a headache, an aching back, a chronic illness. Or it could be emotional pain, the sting of a criticism, the ache of loneliness, the sorrow of a loss. For most of us, our relationship with pain is a very simple one. It is a relationship of war. The moment pain arrives, we see it as an enemy, an invader. Our entire focus becomes about getting rid of it as quickly as possible. We fight it. We resist it. We try to numb it. We try to run away from it. And this battle, this internal struggle against our own experience, is often a source of even greater suffering than the pain itself. We are not just in pain. We are now also in a state of stressful and a very tiring conflict. The Spartans, in their strange and their radical way, had a completely different approach. Their goal was not to live a life without pain. They knew that was impossible. Their goal was to train their minds so that pain was no longer the enemy. Their goal was to learn how to make pain a quiet and a neutral and an almost familiar friend. Their entire upbringing, as we have seen, was a kind of slow and a very deliberate exposure therapy to discomfort. The hard bed, the cold cloak, the simple food, these were not just about building toughness. They were about changing the mind's relationship to unpleasant physical sensations. Think about what happens when you are in pain. There are two things going on. First, there is the raw, physical sensation itself, a throbbing in your head, a tightness in your chest. And then, there is the second layer, which is the story your mind tells you about that sensation. And that story is usually very dramatic. It says, "This is terrible. I can't stand this. This is never going to end." And it is this story, this mental commentary, that turns a simple, neutral sensation into a state of profound suffering. The Spartan training was designed to dismantle this second layer. It was designed to teach a person how to experience the raw sensation of discomfort without adding the story of suffering on top of it. How did they do this? By making discomfort normal, by making it a regular and an expected part of every single day. When a sensation is familiar, it is no longer a crisis. It is just a sensation. Imagine you step into a cold shower for the very first time. Your mind and your body go into a state of complete and utter panic. It feels like a life-threatening emergency. The story in your head is one of pure shock and horror. But now imagine you are a person who has been taught to take a cold shower every single morning since you were 7 years old. When you step into that cold water, the physical sensation is exactly the same. It is still cold, but the mental story is completely different. There is no panic. There is no shock. Your mind simply says, this is the cold. I know this feeling. This is just what the morning feels like. The sensation has been separated from the story of suffering. It has become a quiet and an almost familiar friend. And this is the deep and the powerful peace that the Spartans were cultivating. It was the ability to sit with a difficult experience, whether it was physical cold or physical hunger, or even the emotional pain of fear before a battle, and to just let it be there, without the frantic, internal struggle to make it go away. As you lie here tonight, you may be feeling your own form of discomfort. It might be a physical ache. It might be a quiet worry. And the Spartan philosophy does not ask you to make it go away. It does not ask you to fix it. It just gently invites you to see if you can separate the sensation from the story, to see if you can just allow the feeling to be there, like a familiar and a quiet and a not unfriendly guest in the room of your own mind. To just let it be, without the exhausting and the pointless battle to make it leave. For most of us, in our modern world, food is one of life's great and most wonderful complexities. It is a source of pleasure. It is a source of comfort. It is a way we connect with our family and our friends. We have cooking shows and recipe books and entire cultures built around the art of creating delicious and beautiful things to eat. A good meal is a celebration. And then there was the Spartan meal, the centerpiece of the Spartan diet, the meal that all the men ate together every single day in their communal dining halls, was a dish that was famous throughout the ancient world for one reason, and one reason only. It was legendarily and almost comically awful. It was a dark, murky soup known as black broth, and the ingredients were simple: boiled pork, salt, vinegar, and a generous amount of pig's blood. The stories say that a visitor from another Greek city, after being forced to try it, declared that he now finally understood why the Spartans were so unafraid to die in battle. Now, the Spartans were not bad cooks. They were not living in a land without flavor. They made their food simple and bland and unappetizing on purpose. This wasn't a punishment. It was a core part of their philosophical training. And this strange, unappealing broth was designed to teach them three very important and very quiet lessons. First, and most simply, it taught them that food is fuel, not entertainment. By stripping the meal of all its pleasure, they stripped it of all its power. A Spartan did not look forward to dinner with a great sense of excitement and anticipation. He did not spend his day dreaming of what he would eat. He ate because his body needed energy. That's it. This freed up an enormous amount of mental space that other people spent on the constant, low-level chatter of desire and craving. But the lesson went deeper. It was a direct and a very practical way of taming the wild animal of human desire. The Spartans understood that the desire for delicious food is one of the most basic and powerful urges we have. And they reasoned that if you could become the master of that desire, if you could be completely untroubled by the blandness of your own meal while the man next to you ate the same, then you could probably be the master of any desire. You could be untroubled by the desire for wealth, or for luxury, or for fame. It was a way of teaching the mind to be content with the absolute minimum. And a mind that is content with the minimum is a mind that is very, very difficult to disturb. And finally, there was a profound social reason for this simple meal. By forcing all the men, from the richest aristocrat to the poorest soldier, to eat the exact same unappealing broth, side by side, every single day, they were constantly reinforcing the central Spartan idea: you are not an individual. You are a part of a whole. Your personal tastes, your personal wealth, your personal status, they mean nothing here. In the dining hall, just as on the battlefield, you are all just Spartans. It was a way of building an unbreakable bond of equality and shared experience. And this is where this strange, ancient practice can offer us a little bit of quiet tonight. Our world is a palace of endless choice, and that choice can be a great source of anxiety. We worry about what we ate, what we should have eaten, what we will eat tomorrow. Our minds are in a constant and a very tiring conversation with our own cravings. The Spartans, by eating their simple, terrible soup, were giving themselves a great and a hidden gift. It was the gift of a quiet mind, a mind that was not at war with its own cravings, a mind that was not agitated by the constant wanting for more. The real strength they found in their simple meal was not the nourishment for their bodies. It was the peace of a simple body and the even greater peace of a simple, untroubled mind. So, we have seen how the Spartans deliberately stripped away all the things that other cultures, and our own, spend so much time and energy pursuing. They stripped away physical comfort. They stripped away material wealth. They even stripped away the simple, daily pleasure of a delicious meal. And from our perspective, Looking back through the lens of a world that is so focused on happiness, this can seem like a very bleak and a very joyless way to live. We can feel a kind of pity for them. A life without these things can seem like a life that is fundamentally lacking, a life that is empty. But we have to try and see the world through their eyes. Because the Spartans did not see themselves as being in a state of lack. They did not feel that they were missing out on anything important. In fact, they believed the exact opposite. They believed that they had found the key to a kind of freedom that was so profound and so powerful that no one else in the world could even begin to understand it. It was the great and the surprising and the deeply calming freedom of not wanting. Think about the normal state of our own minds. Much of our mental energy, from the moment we wake up, is consumed by the engine of desire. We want the day to go well. We want other people to like us. We want to be successful in our work. We want a more comfortable life. We want to be entertained. We want to be happy. This constant, low-level hum of wanting is the background music to our entire lives. It is the force that pulls us through the day. But this engine of wanting has a hidden and a very heavy cost. And the cost is a kind of constant, low-level anxiety. To want something is to be in a state of not having it. And to be in a state of not having something is to be in a state of quiet dissatisfaction. It is a state of being always a little bit restless, always a little bit incomplete. And not only that, but when we finally get the thing that we want, we are not truly free. Because the moment we have it, a new and an even more powerful anxiety is born, the fear of losing it. A person who has a great deal of wealth is not at peace. They are in a constant state of low-level fear that they might lose their wealth. A person who has a great deal of fame is not at rest. They are in a constant state of anxiety that their fame might fade. So, the Spartans looked at this entire cycle, this endless and exhausting treadmill of wanting and then fearing, and they made a radical choice. They chose to step off of it completely. Their entire society was a training ground for the art of not wanting. By teaching a man to be comfortable on a hard bed, they were freeing him from the desire for a soft one. By teaching him to be content with a simple meal, they were freeing him from the craving for a delicious one. By teaching him to live without luxury, they were freeing him from the endless and the tiring pursuit of wealth. And what happens to a mind that is no longer being pulled in 1,000 different directions by the strings of its own desires? It becomes very, very quiet. It becomes very, very still. It becomes incredibly stable. This is the great, unbelievable secret to their happiness. The happiness they found was not in getting what they wanted. It was in the profound and the unshakable peace of no longer wanting it in the first place. It was the deep and the quiet and the powerful contentment of a mind that has found its home inside itself and is no longer searching for it in the changing and the fragile and the unreliable world of external things. It is a kind of invulnerability, because if you truly want for nothing, then what can the world possibly take away from you? If you are at peace with discomfort, what can misfortune do to you? This is the freedom they were chasing. And it is a freedom that is available to us, too. In those quiet moments when we can just let go of our own endless wanting and just be content with the simple and the profound and the very real wealth of just being here. Let's talk about a feeling we all know very well, especially at this time of night. It's the feeling of being completely and utterly tired. It's a profound physical exhaustion. The muscles in your body feel heavy. Your eyelids feel like they have weights on them. Every small movement requires a surprising amount of effort. And for most of us, when our body gets to this state, our mind follows suit. A tired body often leads to a tired mind. And a tired mind is not a strong mind. It is a fragile and a vulnerable thing. When we're physically exhausted, our willpower seems to disappear. Our patience wears thin. We become irritable. Small problems can suddenly feel like huge, insurmountable obstacles. The quiet, rational part of our brain seems to go offline, and we are left with a mind that is weak and reactive and often filled with a kind of low-grade, weary anxiety. The Spartans saw this connection, this chain reaction from a tired body to a weak mind, and they identified it as one of the most dangerous of all human weaknesses. Because in their world, a weak mind could get you killed. A soldier on a long march, or a guard on a late-night watch, does not have the luxury of letting his mind fall apart just because his body is tired. And so, one of the deepest and most important parts of their entire philosophy was the deliberate and the lifelong training to sever this link. They sought to create a mind that was the master of the body, not its servant. A mind that could remain clear and calm and resolute, even when the body it lived in was screaming for rest. Let's imagine the mind as a general and the body as a loyal, but a very tired soldier. In an ordinary army, if the soldier is exhausted and complains, the general might start to panic. He might start to doubt his plans. His own resolve might crumble. But a Spartan general is different. A Spartan general looks at his tired soldier, and he acknowledges the reality of the situation. He says, "Yes, I see that you are tired. That is a fact." But the general's own mind does not become tired. The general's own mind does not become weak. His strategic thinking, his purpose, his quiet resolve, all of it remains completely clear and unaffected. This is the state they were trying to cultivate in themselves. It was the ability to treat the feelings of the body, fatigue, hunger, cold, pain, as simple, neutral information, not as a crisis that had to infect the mind. And how did they do this? They did it through practice, through thousands of small, daily acts of will. Every time a young Spartan chose to stand up straight when his back was aching, he was practicing this separation. Every time he held his position on the training field, even when his lungs were burning, he was practicing this separation. Every time he endured a cold night without shivering and complaining, he was strengthening the general and teaching the soldier that its feelings were not in charge. They were learning, in a very deep and a very physical way, that there is a quiet and a still and an unbreakable center inside of them that is completely independent of the state of their body. And this is a profound and a very comforting idea for us as we lie here now. You are, most likely, feeling the deep and the real exhaustion of your own day. Your body, the loyal soldier, is tired. It may be aching. It may be heavy. And that is perfectly okay. The Spartan wisdom is to simply allow the soldier to be tired, to give it permission to be completely and utterly exhausted. But you do not have to let that exhaustion conquer your mind. The general, your mind can remain a place of quiet and of calm and of unshakable peace. It can be the still, silent commander, giving its tired body its one, final, and most welcome order of the day, the order to rest. So, we have seen how the Spartans trained themselves to create a quiet, unbreakable mind that was the master of a tired body. But how did they apply this strength when faced not with a physical enemy, but with an internal one? What was the Spartan way of dealing with the invisible, but a very powerful army of our own anxious thoughts? In the rest of the Greek world, and certainly in our own, the common approach to a worrying thought is to engage it in a long and a complicated negotiation. A worry pops into our head, and our mind immediately starts to argue with it. We try to reason with it. We try to convince it that it's wrong. We play out 100 different scenarios, trying to find a plan that will make the worry go away. It is a noisy and a messy and a very tiring kind of battle. And it is a battle that the worry usually wins, because by giving it so much of our attention, we are giving it all of our strength. A Spartan, true to their nature, would have seen this as a ridiculous waste of energy. Their entire philosophy was built on economy of words, economy of possessions, and most importantly, economy of thought. And they would have applied this same ruthless efficiency to the battlefield of their own mind. Let's imagine a Spartan soldier standing in the phalanx, the great wall of shields, just moments before a battle. The enemy army is on the other side of the field. They are numerous. They are shouting. The situation is dangerous. Now, a normal soldier's mind would be a whirlwind of anxious thoughts. What if we lose? What if I get hurt? What if I'm not brave enough? This is the inner army of worries. A Spartan, having trained his entire life for this moment, would do something very different. He would not engage with those thoughts. He would not argue with them. He would treat those anxious thoughts in the exact same way he was about to treat the enemy army, as a force to be met with a single, simple, and an unwavering wall of disciplined stillness. His training was to narrow his focus, to strip away everything that was non-essential, until his entire world consisted of only a few, very simple and very real things. The weight of the shield on his arm, the feeling of the ground beneath his feet, the shoulder of the man standing to his right, and the shoulder of the man standing to his left. That's it. His mind becomes a silent and a solid and an impenetrable shield. The worries, the what-ifs, the fears, they are like the arrows that the enemy might be shooting at this wall of shields. And a good soldier knows that the worst thing you can do when an arrow is coming at you is to drop your shield and try to catch it. You just hold your position. You let the arrow strike the shield, and you let it fall, useless, to the ground. You do not give it your attention. And this is a powerful and a very practical technique that we can use right here, tonight. As you lie here, a worry might appear in your mind. It is a what if about tomorrow. It is an arrow flying toward you, and your first instinct is to drop everything and to engage with it, to start the long and tiring negotiation. The Spartan way is to refuse the negotiation. It is to gently, but firmly, hold your position. And your position, right now, is the simple, physical reality of this moment. You can narrow your focus, just as the soldier did. You can bring your entire attention to just a few, simple, and very real things. The feeling of the weight of the blanket on your body, the feeling of the softness of the pillow beneath your head, the quiet, rhythmic sensation of your own breath moving in and out. And when the worrying thought comes, you don't fight it. You don't argue with it. You just hold your shield. You keep your attention on the simple, physical reality of the breath. And you let the worry strike the shield of your quiet focus. And you let it fall, useless, to the side. And then you return your attention to your breath. This is the art of facing your worries like a Spartan, not with a noisy and a frantic and an anxious battle, but with a quiet and a simple and an unbreakable wall of stillness. We have just imagined what it would be like to stand as a Spartan on a great battlefield, facing down a fearsome army. And that is a grand and a dramatic image. But the truth is, for most of us, most of the time, our lives are not a great and a single battle. They are more like a long series of very small and often very pointless skirmishes. The real battles we fight during the day are usually not against a great and a terrifying enemy. They are against the traffic that is making us late. They are against the slow computer at work. They are against the person who is a little bit rude to us in the grocery store. They are against our own bodies when they feel tired, or our own minds when they feel distracted. And we treat each one of these small skirmishes as if it were a major battle. We invest a huge amount of our mental and our emotional energy into them. We allow a minor annoyance to become a source of profound frustration. We allow a thoughtless comment from another person to become a deep, personal insult that we replay in our minds for hours. And at the end of the day, when we lie down in bed, we are often not tired from the one great battle we fought. We are exhausted from the cumulative effect of the 100 tiny and mostly pointless little battles that we chose to engage in. Our mind is still buzzing with the memory of these small conflicts. It is still arguing its case, still feeling the sting of 100 tiny wounds. A Spartan would have looked at this way of living with a profound sense of confusion. Their entire philosophy was built on the conservation of energy. They believed that a person has a finite amount of mental and emotional strength, and it was the ultimate act of foolishness to waste that precious resource on things that do not matter. There is a story that captures this perfectly. An important official from another city once came to Sparta, and he went on a long and a very insulting tirade against the Spartan king. He criticized his policies, he insulted his character, he did everything he could to provoke a reaction. And the Spartan king just stood there, silently, and he listened to the entire speech without showing a single flicker of emotion on his face. And when the man was finally finished, breathless and red in the face, he said to the king, "Well, do you have nothing to say to me?" And the king just looked at him calmly and said, "No." And that was the end of it. The king did not take the bait. He did not engage in the pointless battle of insults. He recognized that the man's anger was the man's own problem, and he refused to make it his. He refused to waste his own inner peace on a conflict that had no meaning. He had bigger and more important battles to save his strength for. And this is a profound lesson for us as we lie here now, reviewing the events of our own day. Think of all the small skirmishes you fought today, the small frustrations, the minor annoyances, the little battles you had, either with other people or just inside your own head. And just ask yourself a quiet, Spartan question. Did that battle need to be fought? Was it a worthy use of your own precious and your own finite inner peace? The answer is almost always no. And the great and the quiet and the powerful thing is that you can declare a ceasefire right now. You can, with a simple and a conscious choice, just let it all go. You can retroactively refuse to fight. The rude person in the store, you can let them go. The traffic jam, you can let it go. All the small and the pointless and the deeply tiring little battles of the day. You can just lay down your weapons, and you can let them all fade away into the quiet and the peaceful and the victorious stillness of this moment. Let's return, once again, to the very real and the very simple reality of where you are right now. You are lying in your bed. And for most of us, as we've said, this place represents the pinnacle of comfort, of softness, of a retreat from the hard edges of the world. It is the softest and the safest and the most luxurious place in our entire lives. It is a kind of personal palace. And in this palace, we can sometimes behave like a very spoiled and a very sensitive king or queen. We need the conditions to be absolutely perfect in order to find our rest. The room must be perfectly dark. The temperature must be just right. The pillow must be in the exact correct position. The slightest noise from outside, the smallest wrinkle in the sheet, the faintest hint of a draft, any tiny imperfection can become a source of great and of profound frustration. It can feel like a personal insult, an attack on our right to be perfectly comfortable. And our mind, in its royal frustration, can seize upon this small discomfort and turn it into a great and a sleepless drama. A Spartan would have looked at this entire way of thinking and found it to be the most dangerous and the most self-defeating of all human weaknesses. Because a mind that demands perfection from the world is a mind that will always and forever be in a state of disappointment. So, for tonight, let's try a small and a quiet and a very Spartan thought experiment. I want you to just for a moment stop thinking of your bed as a palace. Let go of the idea that it is a place of luxury and of perfect comfort. Instead, I want you to imagine that your bed is a bivouac. A bivouac is a soldier's temporary camp. It is a simple and a functional and an unsentimental place of rest. It is a place you come to at the end of a long, hard day of marching, not for pleasure, but for a very clear and a very specific purpose. To give your body the simple and the necessary and the deeply practical gift of sleep, so that you will have the strength you need for the march tomorrow. From the perspective of a soldier in a bivouac, the whole world looks different. A soldier does not expect the ground to be perfectly soft. He is just grateful that it is not raining. A soldier does not complain if there is a small rock under his back. He just shifts his position a little and gets on with the business of resting. A soldier does not become enraged by the sound of a cricket or the hoot of an owl. He understands that the world is full of sounds, and they are not his personal enemies. The goal of the soldier in his bivouac is not comfort. The goal is rest. And he knows that the rest he needs is not something that the world gives to him. It is something that he must find within himself. And so, as you lie here tonight, in what you once thought was a palace, just try to adopt this gentle and this practical and this deeply calming mindset. Notice the sounds that you can hear, and just let them be the sounds of the night, not a personal attack on your peace. Notice the small imperfections in your own comfort, a slight ache in your body, a blanket that is not perfectly arranged, and just let them be. They are not a crisis. They are just the simple, neutral reality of this moment. You are a tired soldier at the end of a long day's march, and this bed is your simple and your welcome and your deeply functional place of rest. It does not need to be perfect, and neither do you. Your only job, your only mission for tonight is to find that quiet and that resilient and that unbreakable stillness inside yourself, and to allow your body to get the simple and the profound and the well-earned rest that it needs. Let's imagine our soldier one last time. He has finished his long day's march. He has eaten his simple meal. He has found his place in the bivouac, and he is ready for rest. But there is one final duty that a good soldier often has to perform. It is the duty of standing watch. In the ancient world, a sleeping army was a vulnerable army. And so, in the deepest and the quietest hours of the night, a few soldiers would be chosen to stay awake. Their job was not to fight. Their job was not to think, or to plan, or to worry. Their job was simply to be a silent and a steady and a vigilant presence. To be the calm, watchful eyes for the entire sleeping camp. And this act, this final duty of the day, is a perfect metaphor for the state of mind that we can bring to these last few moments before we fall asleep. Because even after we have let go of the day's battles, even after we have adopted the mindset of the bivouac, our mind can still be a busy place. It is not always a place of loud, anxious worries. Sometimes it's just a place of quiet and of random and of meaningless chatter. The mind can be like a camp full of soldiers who are all still awake, murmuring to each other after the lights have gone out. One thought starts a quiet conversation with another. A memory drifts by, and then another. A half-formed plan for tomorrow appears and then fades. And our usual reaction to this is to get involved. We are like a busy and an anxious and a very ineffective camp commander. We run from one little conversation to the next, trying to tell the thoughts to be quiet. We try to argue with them. We try to organize them. And the more we try to force the silence, the more noise and the more agitation we create. The Spartan way is to do something much, much simpler and much more effective. It is to stop being the frantic commander and to instead become the silent watchman. I want you to imagine, right now, that the main, thinking part of your mind, the part that has been listening to my voice, is now taking up its post as the guard of the night. You are standing on the quiet, invisible wall of your own consciousness, and your one and your only duty is to just be still and to be aware. And below you, in the camp of your mind, the other, quieter thoughts are still murmuring. A memory of your day might drift by, like a soldier walking from one tent to another. A small worry about tomorrow might flicker like a distant campfire. And what does the watchman do? Nothing. He does not run down from the wall to engage with the soldier. He does not shout at the campfire to put itself out. He simply notices. He sees the movement. He acknowledges its presence, and he remains at his post. His gaze is calm. His mind is steady. His presence is silent. He knows that these small movements are not a threat. They are just the natural, quiet settling of a camp at the end of a long day. And this is a state of mind that you can find right now. You can become the silent watchman of your own mind. When a thought comes, you don't have to follow it. You don't have to fight it. You don't even have to judge it. You can just notice it. You can see it as a small and a harmless and a completely unimportant movement in the quiet camp below. And you can just let it go on its way without ever leaving your post. And your post, your quiet and your steady anchor, is the simple, physical sensation of your own breath. You just keep your attention there, and you watch. And in this deep, and this silent, and this unwavering stillness, the rest of the camp, the rest of your mind, will eventually, and in its own time, begin to follow your lead. The murmuring will die down, the campfires will burn out, and the entire, vast, and tired camp of your own mind will finally and completely fall silent. And so, we arrive at the very end of the watch. The camp of the mind is finally and truly falling silent. The last of the murmuring thoughts have faded away. The last of the flickering campfires of worry have burned themselves out. And you, the silent watchman, are still at your post, a calm and a steady and a quiet presence in the deep of the night. Let's think, for one last time, about the world's idea of a Spartan victory. We imagine a great and a glorious battle. We imagine the clash of shields, the breaking of spears, the final, triumphant cry of a victorious army. We think of victory as something loud and something dramatic and something that happens on a battlefield outside of ourselves. But the Spartans, in their own quiet and their own very strange way, knew that this was not the most important kind of victory. They knew that a man could win every battle he ever fought in the outside world and still be a complete and a total slave to the chaos in his own mind. He could be a king on the outside and a prisoner on the inside. The real victory, the one that their entire, hard, and disciplined life was aimed at achieving, was something much, much quieter. It was an internal victory. It was the victory that is won not on a battlefield of dust and of blood, but in the silent and the vast and the often very difficult landscape of a person's own heart. And what did this true victory look like? It was not a feeling of excitement. It was not a feeling of pride. It was not a feeling of happiness in the way that we think of it. The true victory, for a Spartan, was the state of a quiet heart. It was the profound and the unshakable and the deeply satisfying feeling of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. A mind that is no longer a slave to its own desires. A mind that is no longer terrified by its own feelings of discomfort. A mind that is no longer buffeted and thrown about by the changing winds of fortune. It is a mind that has found its center. A mind that has forged its own unbreakable and its own internal shield. And as you lie here now, in the deep and the growing stillness, this is the victory that is available to you. You have fought no great battle tonight. You have won no great prize. But you have, perhaps, achieved something far more valuable. You have walked a quiet and a philosophical and a deeply ancient path. And you have arrived here, in this moment, with a heart that is just a little bit quieter, a mind that is just a little bit calmer, a soul that is just a little bit more at peace. And this is the only victory that truly matters. It is the victory of letting go, the victory of surrender, the victory of a mind that has finally and completely finished its work for the day. The watch is over. The camp is asleep. And your final and your only duty now is to join them, to lay down your own invisible shield, to let go of your own watchful presence, and to allow yourself to dissolve into the deep and the dark and the profoundly peaceful silence of the night. There are no more battles to be fought. There is only this quiet. There is only this stillness. There is only this deep and this final and this victorious rest. And so, the final watch of the night comes to a quiet and a peaceful end. The last of the thoughts have faded. The last of the day's small battles have been let go. The entire, vast, and tired camp of your own mind is finally and truly at rest. The voices of those ancient Spartans, the whispers of a philosophy forged in discipline and in silence, can now fade away. Their work is done. They have shown us the path to an unbreakable mind and to a quiet heart. And the voice that has been your companion tonight, the one that has walked with you through this strange and this quiet philosophy, its work is also done. It was only ever meant to be a steady presence at your side, a quiet guide, to help you find your own inner stillness. And now that you have found it, it can fall silent, like a guard whose watch is finally over. Let all the words and all the ideas and all the stories dissolve. Let go of the Spartans and the hard beds and the shields. They were just pointers. They were just arrows pointing the way to this quiet and this simple and this powerful place. And now that you are here, they are no longer needed. There are no more lessons to be learned tonight. There are no more disciplines to be practiced. There is only the simple and the profound and the deeply calming reality of this moment. The feeling of the weight of your body, heavy and relaxed. The feeling of the warmth deep within your muscles. The gentle and the steady and the effortless rhythm of your own breath. This is the only victory that matters now. The quiet victory of a mind at peace. The silent victory of a body at rest. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to hold. There is only this quiet. There is only this stillness. There is only this peace. So let the watch end now. Let the guard go home, and allow yourself to dissolve into the deep and the dark and the profoundly silent rest that you have so truly earned. Just rest now. Just rest.